What is the most baddest thing your pet has ever done? My boyfriend and I once lived in a house with unkillable mice. We tried traps with every kind of bait, and those sneaky bastards would just steal the food and leave the traps. We even tried peanut butter and they would lick them clean. We didn't want to poison them, because we were afraid that the mice would just laugh at us while our dog died. So one night we are sitting there talking about how the only option left is to get a cat, when we hear meowing. I open the back door and this tiny little orange kitten just strolls into my house like she owns the joint. So, now we have a cat. After about 24 hours, or just long enough to get emotionally attached, we realize that this 6-pound cat has a ducking hole in the side of her. Now this cat is seeming like a big ass investment, but we take her to the vet, and they clean her up, and reveal a quarter-sized wound in the cat. We walk back into the house, and the new kitten, Zol, catches her first glimpse of a mouse. It's all over from there on out. Zol literally spends the rest of the weekend laying in the crossroads of the house with a gunshot, wound-sized hole in her side, killing anything that crosses her path. That cat is straight gangster, and we are mice-free by Monday. When I was younger we had two cats, Stanley and Livingston, and a German shepherd named Edie. Stanley was a crazy mofo who ran around in the woods behind our house and chased wild turkeys 4 times his size. When we brought Edie home as a puppy he hissed at her, smacked her across the face and walked off. Livingston liked to eat Stanley and Edie's food. Edie was kind of dumb for a German shepherd, purebred, all black. We assumed there had been too much inbreeding. One day Stanley was out running around in the field next to our house doing his usual thing. Livingston is hanging with me on our porch. Edie was chilling in our yard. All of a sudden Edie jumps to attention, lets out one very loud bark she rarely barked, and runs straight for Stanley. I, of course, being about 6 at the time, starting yelling at Edie for being a bad dog and bothering Stanley. She snatched him up in her mouth and ran him into our yard right before this huge hawk came down on him. She then stood guard in front of Stanley until the hawk left. Livingston didn't move the entire time. I miss my pets. My dog from when I was a kid, a big fuzzy Labradoodle, once mauled a guy who was trying to grab my little sister while she was on a walk. We keep chickens, and one night, when I went out to shut their coop, I saw a fox in the garden about 3 meters from it. I ran over and chased it away and found my cat calmly sitting in front of the entrance to the chicken hut. The fox was at least twice his size and he'd been facing it down. One of my Rhodesians went toe to toe with a 6-foot rattlesnake when one of my nephews wandered away from the back of the house. Even when Bobo was bitten twice he stayed on his feet till the snake went away. Found the nephew hiding behind the dog who was just about passed out. Used the bite kit and rushed him to the vet. He was sick as a for about a week, but pulled through and lived to a ripe old age. My horse is a big boy at draft, but he's a lover bug. He's the low man in the herd, and sometimes gets bullied by ponies. At our last farm he was cool with everyone until a new horse, I'll call him Q, came into the herd. When I went out to feed everyone the new horse bit me, and when I whacked him for it the bugger spun around to kick me. I dove out of the way, and then my horse came flying across the field and rammed into Q. Q then bit him in the neck and my boy had an expression of "oh no you didn't" flash across his face before rearing up and proceeding to beat the literal shit out of Q. He chased this new horse all across the 10-acre field and then, when done, trotted back to me and dropped his head onto my shoulder for a nap. He never let Q come near me again and would chase away any horse he thought meant any harm. I love my big ol' marshmallow. My dog and cat had such a cool relationship growing up. Cat would groom the dog and knock food off the table for her. Dog would bark at the door somehow knowing that the cat wanted in. One day our stupid little bitch and fries is in an intense barking match with a dog 3 times its size. I open the door to get a better look and bam, the cat bolts outside and right towards them. She jumps right through the face off, bats the bigger dog in the face midair, and sprints off down the street with the big dog chasing her. That cat was a warrior. We miss you, Grizzy. My cat is about 15 years old now. I just had hip surgery, and for the first 4 days afterward he would not leave my side for food or anything. I was getting worried that we were reaching the end. But as soon as I was able to get up and moving a bit more, he went right back to normal. Now he tries to lay over my incision whenever he can to protect it. Love my kitty. My dog is 12. He's big, but not huge, probably about 50 pounds. He's a mutt, part German Shepherd, part Chow, part Mississippi Leghound, I think, and he's very sweet and calm. One night, when he was about 4 and dozing on the living room floor, he snapped awake and ran for the back door, making growling noises that I don't normally hear from him. I opened the back door to let him out, and he pushed past me and went flying toward the back fence, barking wildly. I turned on the floodlights, only to see a dark figure disappear hurriedly over the back fence and away from my yard. My dog barked for another full minute, then snorted and turned and trotted calmly back to the house. I have never seen him react to anything like he did that night. To this day, I have no idea how he knew that someone was in the backyard. I have pugs, and anyone who has one knows that if they are not sleeping, they are following you around the house. I was cleaning up one day only to realize that they were quiet and nowhere in sight. I go searching only to find a goddamn guy giving them all pats in my living room. They shocked me a look of, oh, we are in so much trouble, but this surprise friend is awesome. Turns out the guy had a handicap, so the pugs invited him in without a peep. These are the same 3 that bark at me when I've got wet hair. Worst guard dogs ever. My puggle will ferociously bark, growl, and howl at anyone passing by our house. But if they actually do come inside, she greets them as if she had known them since she was a pup. My Jack Russell Terrier must be very bright. She runs to the window and barks up a storm if I have given the other dog a treat. The other dog abandons his treat to see what is going on at the window. The Jack Russell then runs over and steals the treat before the other dog knows what hit him. He returns to find his treat has been eaten, and there was no one at the window. His day is ruined. My pit bull probably saved my life one morning, going out to feed the horses, when I went around a corner and found myself about 10 feet away from a full bull moose eating from the haystack. His rack was probably 6 feet side to side. I was like, well, this is a pretty dumb way to die, because sure as heck, I wasn't gonna outrun him. The hair on the back of his neck was up, and he looked ready to charge when my pit went full on stupid, charging him and barking like a maniac. I was all, thanks buddy, I'm out ta here. Good luck, and totally ran like heck, while Bullwinkle was distracted. Got inside barely, caused them off. Did eventually chase me. The unharmed pit got in a few minutes later. Was trapped in the house for about an hour before the damn thing wandered off. Wanted to give the pit a medal for bravery. Many people do not realize how massive they really are. Another thing that no one would believe is how fast yet quiet they are. They can run through the woods at lightning speeds and barely make any noise. They are the ghosts of the woods. When I was too young to remember, my family had a cat named Molly. Molly was indoor and outdoor, but only went outside to sunbathe and poop. Well, one day, Molly, Ismaya and my mom said they looked everywhere and waited for days before giving up hope. My 2 older brothers, 6 and 4 at the time, were devastated, and me being only 2 was too young to care. Fast forward to me being 8 and finding an old cat outside our back door with a collar. I picked it up and took it to my mom. So sad that this poor lost cat was scared and came to us for help. The moment my mom saw the cat, she started to cry. It was Molly. Molly purred in her arms and cuddled and kissed. And my family who remembered her had a brief hour of spending time with her before my mom called the number on the collar. When the lady came to pick up her cat, we discovered she lived within a 5-minute walk of our home. And Molly came to her backyard and meowed at the door until she let her in and out and in again. Before deciding to keep her, Mom showed her some pictures of Molly as a kitten. They exchanged phone numbers and gave her back to the owner Molly had chosen. We then got a call a week and a half later with the news that Molly had died from natural causes. Molly probably left because she didn't like us kids, but still came back years later to say goodbye. My cats use the toilet. 6 years and no litter box to clean, no litter to buy, and no smell. To me, that's badass. My dog was in the backyard. He just kept barking and barking at my neighbor's house. He managed to get our gate open and bolted into the neighbor's yard. We ran after him and found him next to our elderly neighbor who had a stroke and fell off of the porch. Thanks to our dog, she was able to go to the hospital and she is perfectly fine now. I once had an incredible wiener dog. You couldn't bury a fence deep enough to keep that little bastard from escaping. I once found him climbing up the inside of a hollowed out tree trunk to kill a bat. Another time he somehow located a beaver den and dug into it, trapping a family of ferocious beavers inside. He was fearless. I have 2 wiener dogs, and they cry if a cat looks at them for too long. My parents' cat hated me from the day I was born. She would hiss at my cradle and couldn't be left in the same room as me. When I got older, she treated me with more mild contempt, but she'd never let me pet her. Fast forward to when I was 5. I went to the kitchen to get something, and the door closed itself behind me. Somehow the lock wedged itself shut. I was trapped. I was scared. I started panicking and crying. My mum was upstairs out of earshot, but the cat was in the room adjacent to the kitchen. She saw me crying. She ran off. Typical. But she in fact ran upstairs to my mum, who was on the phone, and bit her, while my cat was pussy. She never bit anyone before. She then ran back downstairs and my mum followed her to find me trapped in the kitchen. She was like my very own lassie. We were brothers ever since. I used to have a wonderful pet rabbit named Cola. Cola had free reign of all of the house and the backyard. He could come in and out of the house through a cat flap in the back door. He refused to live in a hutch, so he just ran where he wanted. Anyway, Cola developed a sexual relationship with my basketball. I won't go into details of Cola's private sex life, but leave it up to your imagination. Cola saw an approximately rabbit-sized object and decided that it would feel good to, you know. One day my little sister was having a birthday party and this required balloons. The morning before the party we blew up about 50 balloons and had them all strewn all around the floor of the lunchroom before they were to be organized. Cola came into the house to see what's up, and he was delighted to see a massive collection of potential sexual partners. This crazy little rabbit proceeded to duck the shit out of each and every one of the balloons until they popped, and just moved on to the next one. Cola managed to pop balloons with his rabbit dick faster than my sister and I could inflate them. This was absolutely ducking hilarious. Picture a room full of balloons and a rabbit humping each one till it pops. Cola was damn determined to pop each balloon, no matter the shock he must have experienced every time they burst. Badass. Horny little bugger he was. Oh. And Cola fought huge possums and won. About 5 times during the time he lived with me. He killed possums that were twice the size as him. I never got to witness a fight, but goddamn I could hear it when it happened. I swear Cola hulkified during the night and went on rampages. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.